Hello friends and welcome to another video lesson from DBOS Talks. If you haven't subscribed yet, please click subscribe and click the bell so that you can be notified of new uploads. In this new series called Markdown tutorial, we'll be learning about a popular and not so old, not so new way of documenting called Markdown. So it is mainly used, it has been used in many software projects around the world. And personally, I've been involved in one such project wherein we used Markdown in making documents like README documents and installation guides. It's very easy, nothing fancy, nothing heavy. If you'll talk about the advantages of Markdown, I would say there are a couple, but I would start with easy to read, easy to learn, and no coding needed. And since it is written in ASCII pure text, then it's also easy to export to other file formats such as PDF, docx, which is Microsoft Word, HTML, whatever it is. Okay, so let's get started. Before that, some background. I'm sure you've heard of HTML, Hypertext Markup Language, which is the formatting language being used on web pages around the world. So now we're looking at one such web page, which is very popular around the world, google.com. Now, if you wanted to look at the HTML code of this, which is formatting or markup language, you just right-click on the web page, and then you click on View Page Source. Okay, so you can see it's quite a mouthful. It is really too much to bear, right? So this is the HTML code of that. It is not always this heavy. Some web pages have a lot less code than this, but you can see this is HTML, and it's really not easy to digest for somebody who's seeing this for the first time, somebody who is not familiar with HTML. So that's HTML. It's a markup language. Now, in this video, we'll be learning about Markdown, which is just a play of words, but it's also a markup language, just same as like HTML. Okay, so now we will have a look at a sample Markdown file. Markdown has a file extension of MD. I have an example right here. So you can see the type, the extension is MD. That's a Markdown file, which is a document file created or written using Markdown. So let's have a look at one such Markdown file. Okay, so you can see there's a Markdown file. It has some, okay, let me just get another one. No, this one. See, it's better looking. So you can see it looks like your average usual documentation, which is, the thing about it is it's written for the web. So it can be viewed. There are many free online viewers of a Markdown file, but the best bet you can get your hands on, something you already have, is a web browser like Chrome. So in this video, we'll be focusing more on how to make it work on Chrome, although I'm sure it will also work on Edge with some extension. Okay, so we've seen, okay, that is the actual, what's this, Markdown file. Earlier, you've seen the coding of HTML. Now I'll show you how it looks in Markdown. How do I open or edit code in Markdown? You just simply use a text editor like Notepad or Notepad++. Okay, so I'll right click on this and then do a edit with Notepad. Okay, so this is the coding, not really coding, this is the formatting code or language that you have for Markdown. Now, if you will compare that with the HTML formatting code that you have seen earlier, you can see this is such an ocean of difference between the two. So here it's really easy to read, very much readable. So not everything is a command, some are real text, but these are commands. Formatting, not really commands, but formatting, yeah, you can call them formatting commands, formatting codes. Okay, so this is your MD. Okay, so again, Markdown is a formatting or markup language used to make documents easily, especially documents that you want to be available online or can be offline, but something that can be viewed using a browser. Okay. But first things first, before we can even view a Markdown file on your browser, there are a couple of things we must do. This is for Chrome browser, by the way. Okay, so just so we are focused. So the first thing you do, this I will let down on my own desktop, so I'll just show you the steps. First is in your browser, go to Chrome Web Store. Here is the URL. If you don't remember that, you just Google for Chrome Web Store, and then you'll get there. Once you're there, you click on the search field, which I have highlighted in yellow, and then you type the word Markdown in one word, Markdown, to choose an extension. So you are looking for an extension. So the idea here is really to get hold of an extension which you will apply or attach to your Chrome browser. So it extends the functionality of your Chrome browser so that it is able to recognize a Markdown file and be able to render it before you visually through the browser, through Chrome. So again, you went to Chrome Web Store. In the search field, you type the word Markdown, then press enter. It will return you a couple of hits, a couple of extensions having the word Markdown. And I just chose one, the one called Markdown Viewer. And then to that, you click on the button Add to Chrome, shown in blue here. Okay. When you do that, it will prompt you another dialog, and then you just click on Add Extension. Okay. So you're telling Chrome extension to add this extension called Markdown Viewer. After that, the extension will be added to your Chrome browser. You may not see it very obviously. What you'll do is, at the browser toolbar, you click on the extensions tool button, which looks like a jigsaw puzzle piece, this one. And then click on the three dots, and then click on Manage Extension. After doing that, you'll get to this page, and then you just scroll down near the bottom. You go to almost at the bottom. You will see something with the label. Click, I don't know. The label is Allow Access to File URLs, the one with the red tick, red check. So at that point, you slide the slider so that it becomes blue. Okay, allow access to file URLs. So what you're telling the Chrome browser for it to allow you to open and view an MD file, a Markdown file, using the browser, even locally, using file URL, meaning it's like a URL, but it's not really a website, but it's pointing to a file location somewhere in your desktop or laptop. Okay. And that's the end of just the steps on setting up the Markdown on your Chrome. Now we're ready. You will let me just. So again, a Markdown file as an extension of MD, it can be edited and it can be created using a text editor such as Notepad or Notepad++ and whatever other notepads, text editors you can get your hands on. Okay, so let's try to edit one. Okay, let me just clear it out one by one so that you can get to the very beginning. Okay. So what I'll do is this. I'll open the MD file, the Markdown file, in a text editor, and side by side, I'll open the preview of it using the Chrome browser. Okay, close this, close that. I'll close that. Okay, so you can see that the text editor is showing this. This is a H1 heading. So we'll first learn about headings. A heading is something like a title that you put somewhere at the top of a document. It's in bold, it's in bigger font size. It is something like a title, okay, heading. So there are a few sizes of those. One is called H1, the biggest. So this is the preview of a H1 heading. This is the size, that's how it looks. And then let's get another one, the one called H2. So to make a heading, this is the text that you want to display. But to make it into a heading, the formatting that you will do is you will use a single hash. Some people call it hash, some people call it sharp. It's up to you, whatever works. So this is a hash. The letter or letters, characters that you want to make into a heading, that you want to use for a heading, you should enclose it or surround it with a hash on both sides, here and here. Okay, so it results to this H1. Now remember, as the H specification increases, H1, H2, H3, the size of the font actually decreases. So now we will look at what a H2 heading looks like. So here, since H1, I used a single hash on both sides. H2, I typed 2 hashes on both sides. Simple, right? But remember, since it's H2, it will be smaller in font size compared to the H1. Now what I'll do is I'll save my changes in this notepad and then refresh my browser. And then you see the H2 heading, which is slightly smaller in font size than the other one. The other thing you'll notice about H1 and H2 heading is that they both have a light colored line running underneath them. Okay, so that's a heading, like a column heading, like a title. Let's try another one. I'll just call this H2. And since it's a H3, you enter or type 3 hashes on both sides and save that change. And then you refresh again your browser to see how it looks. Remember, we're trying to learn headings. See, so that H3, the size is a bit smaller than the H2. And so on. I can go on up to say H6. I can jump to that. 456, 456. And I'll save that, and then I'll go to the browser and then refresh it. Okay, so that's H6. If you try for a H7, of course, H6, you created 6 hashes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on both sides. If I try to create H7, you will see what will happen. Save it, and then I refresh. Then it doesn't do what I expected to do. So I'll stop at 6. You see, it's not a heading, it's just a plain text. So that's why I stopped. I jumped from H3 to H6. You have a H4 or a H5. So again, the rule is that to make a heading, you just enclose or surround the text that you want to make into a heading, surround it with hashes on both sides. Okay, so that's headings. The next we're going to learn is italics. I'm sure most of us have seen or used Microsoft Word. So this is nothing new to us. Italic is when the font is tilted, an angle, it's at an angle. And so in MD, in Markdown, if you wanted to make your characters be formatted with italic or italics, you will use a single asterisk on both sides. You surround the text with a single asterisk. Okay, let's do that. Here I have a couple of words called, it's here you go. And then I just surrounded it or I closed it with single asterisk on both sides. And I will save my changes and then I will refresh my browser. Okay, so you see italic. Here you go. The words are indeed italicized. They are in italic format, right? Next is we'll learn how to set font, set text into bold. Okay, so here that's why I started with italic first, so that it will be sequential in your memory. Here, 1 asterisk, bold is 2 asterisks. So in this case, I wanted to set in bold the word yes. Okay, let's start with something simple. If I wanted to set in bold everything, or the whole bunch of words, so I will enclose, yes, I did it, with double asterisk. Okay, after doing that, I will save my changes and then go again to my browser to preview the changes. Okay, refresh. So bold, yes. So yes, I did it. The whole bunch of words has been set bold correctly. Right? If we want to selectively set something in bold, we can do that also. Let's say I only wanted to set to bold the word yes and the word did. Then I will do that. Nothing complicated actually. Okay, so we expect only the words yes and did to be set in bold. I save my changes and then I go to my browser again and then refresh it. And that's correct. Yes, it's in bold, did is in bold. The next thing we will do is if you wanted to do a combination of both, setting some word or some characters to be both bold and italic. So you can see italic is 1 asterisk, bold is 2 asterisks. So to make it into a bold and italic, you just add these 3 asterisks, you combine them. So that's what I'm doing. I am enclosing the words this is it in 3 asterisks. So that means what I mean is I want the words this is it to be bold and italic, but the rest, starting from the comma all the way to he mumbled, just to be plain text, normal, no formatting. So I'll save these changes here and then refresh again the browser. And indeed, yes, it's set to bold and italic the words this is it. Okay, and the rest is just okay. Untouched. So in this short video, we learned a bit about Markdown, which is a very growing popularity documentation, web documentation for IT projects, but you can use it for even non-IT projects, even on your schoolwork, even at home you can do so. So Markdown is totally free. You don't need to necessarily install something. What approximates, it's almost like installing is what you do is you will just look for an extension and apply it or set it up on your browser. Okay, extension, it's called an extension. If you look at the toolbar, it looks like a jigsaw puzzle. It's called extensions. Okay. Extension. So that's the one. And then remember that Markdown has a file extension of MD. It can be created and can be edited using a text editor. And then you can start making your document using that Notepad. And then you can do what I did here, put them side by side. You have your Notepad open when you're editing it. And then when you want to see the effect, if it's working or not, then you just refresh, open it using Chrome browser, open the file. And then as you can see in an address bar, it is really not really a website, but it's pointing to a file. C:/demo, blah, blah, blah. So this is the file in my local PC. And then after you make your changes, you save your changes here, you go to your browser and then you refresh this. That's as simple as that. Okay. So I hope you've enjoyed and learned something new. This is something really useful for documentation. And it's really, I have used this in a real project and it's very useful. It's very easy to learn. You don't need a steep learning curve to get this for you to be up and running and to be up to speed. Okay, so thank you for watching, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please click subscribe right now. I will see you the next video.